So you're ready to book a massage and you're trying to decide deep tissue or Swedish massage. You pick deep tissue because that spot on your shoulder has been there for 8 months now and gentle massage hasn't touched it. Or you pick Swedish massage because last time you booked a deep tissue massage, you were sore for 3 days and you're not sure that helped either. Then you go and it's good. You walk out a little looser. A day or two later, it's back. And so the next time you book a massage, you request that they go harder and deeper than before. And the next massage after that, you request it again. I've been doing orthopedic body work since 1996, and I want to tell you something that took me a while to be comfortable saying out loud. If that's the loop you're in, the problem isn't that you picked the wrong massage. It's just that the pressure was never the thing that decides whether the change holds. Neither deep tissue nor Swedish massage is better than the other. It really depends entirely on what you're wanting to get out of a massage and also who the practitioner is giving you the massage. A skilled Swedish therapist will do more for you than a careless deep tissue therapist. The actual difference is simpler than people make it. Deep tissue engages the muscles more because of the heavier pressure applied. Swedish techniques are mostly more superficial on the skin. Swedish is built to downshift your nervous system with long strokes and moderate pressure and a calming rhythm. And calming your nervous system is not a lesser goal. I want to be clear about that because it matters later in our discussion. It's a prerequisite for anything else to work. Deep tissue goes after the tissue with more intent, more pressure, slower, more focus on what's underneath. Both are doing something. Neither one by itself resolves why the tissue got that way in the first place. A lot of people equate hard pressure and pain with therapeutic value. It's understandable to assume that. The evidence doesn't really support it, though. The relief is real, but the window is short. In a controlled testing, heavy deep tissue work raised pain threshold about 20% for roughly 15 minutes. And here's the part to think about. In that same testing, working the opposite limb produced nearly the same effect. Massage one arm, the other arm's pain threshold changes almost as much. If a pressure were changing the tissue, that shouldn't be possible. So a lot of what you're feeling isn't structure changing under the thumb. It's your nervous system turning the volume down on pain. But here's more. Intense pressure provokes a stress response in your body, in your nervous system. One study of 150 adults found the more painful techniques were associated with raised blood pressure during the session. That's your body reading the input as a threat. Some of what feels like a powerful session is your system bracing, and bracing works directly against releasing what you came in for. And this is the one that surprises people. When pain has been around a long time, the nervous system usually becomes more sensitive, not less. If you've been hurting for years, your pain processing has likely turned up. Aggressive pressure can reinforce that rather than override it. So the pattern isn't that you've built up a tolerance and need someone with stronger hands. The window was always short. Forcing it harder can wind the system up further. And I'll say, past the point, excessive pressure can also risk injuring the tissue. At some point, more force stops adding benefit, and the risk of damaging your body and then having to spend energy repairing and healing from it. Here's another thing. Tight muscles almost always involve other areas of the body. When a joint isn't moving through its full range, the muscles crossing that joint don't get released. They're holding a position the joint is demanding. When one area stops contributing, other areas take up the slack and get chronically overworked. And when that pattern has been running for years, the connective tissue remodels around it. The tissue isn't misbehaving, it's doing exactly what the situation requires of it, which means you can work a tight muscle as hard as you want. And the moment the client stands up, if the joint still moves the way it moved before, the muscle tends to go right back to the old dysfunctional holding pattern. That's the difference between treating the body like a lump of dough and needing whatever feels tight or hurts, and treating it as a connected system where the painful area is often not the only place to look. The thing keeping your shoulder tight may be not just in your shoulder. It can sit in the neck, in the rib cage, the way an old injury taught you to hold yourself. And to be truly effective, you need both halves. You need the relaxation part. If your if your service if your nervous system is guarded, your muscles will not release, no matter how much force gets applied. And fighting a protective response with more pressure is a losing argument with your own physiology. In the work I do, calming the nervous system happens early in the beginning of the session, and it happens pretty quickly using specific techniques for doing exactly that. Many people often describe our sessions as deeply relaxing. You also need intentional corrective work, restoring how the joints move, restoring glide between the tissue layers that have stopped sliding freely past each other, and reintroducing movement patterns that got shut down and compensated around it. To accomplish that, that part is not necessarily so gentle, but it's also not using brute force. It's just very specific and very intentional. Relaxation without correction feels wonderful, but changes little. Trying to correct with hard pressure without relaxation runs into a nervous system that won't let go. But together they hold. At the start of my sessions, I test something measurable, a range of motion of a joint, the way a joint moves, a specific movement that might provoke your pain. We establish where it is before anything happens. Then, while I'm working, I'll often ask you to put your hand or notice internally the area that we're working on and feel it. And then we do it afterwards to see what changed. Most likely, you'll be able to feel the difference under your own hand or notice it. At the end of our session, we'll retest the exact movement or range of motion we tested at the start. And what people commonly report after a single session is that they have more range of motion. The pain is noticeably decreased. They feel lighter. They feel more calm. They stand taller and more upright. Their breathing is easier. They move more freely. And with acute injuries, the swelling has reduced. And with all these comments, you'll notice that many of these are whole body and not spot specific. So many people will feel that not only is their pain, specifically maybe in the shoulder, is better, but their whole body feels better. Someone comes in for a shoulder pain and leaves breathing more easily and standing taller. That isn't necessarily a bonus. That's just the clearest evidence the shoulder was never just the only thing. I can't tell you that one session will resolve years of accumulated dysfunction, but what one session can do is change something you can verify yourself and show which direction the actual problem lives in. So if you're wanting to get a relaxation massage, yes, book a Swedish massage and enjoy it. That's a legitimate reason to get on the table, and I never talk anyone out of it. But if you're looking to get something specifically addressed, something that is painful or tight, or because you've lost movement, or because you've been chasing the same knot for 2 years, the question isn't how deep the therapist goes. It's whether they assess before they work, whether they retest afterwards, and whether they're looking at your whole body or just the spot you pointed to. Most of the people I work with have already tried many types of massage. What they tell me fairly often is that they've lost the desire to book those sessions anymore, not because they were bad, because Now, through our sessions, they're getting more out of the work built around resolving dysfunction instead of managing the symptom. I'm Angelo dela Cruz at Fit Body Therapy in Los Altos. If you're on the peninsula and you're tired of the pressure loop, there's a link in the description to book a session with me. We'll test what's actually restricted and retest before you leave so you can judge the result for yourself. If this was useful to you, go ahead and subscribe, and hopefully I'll put out more information on how we can help you resolve your pain and dysfunction.